I bid a very good mornings to the two village representative, Mr. Fateh
Hello.
and Mr. Yevan,
Hello.
along with the land development's representative, Mr. Ahmed Mohammed Gaafar.
Hello.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Kelvin Chong Boon, a government official who will be fully in charge of this land development project and assist in the negotiations as well as pointing out our primary concerns from the government standpoints. So without any further ado, let's start our negotiations today. I will welcome the representative from the land development, Ahmed Mohammed Gaafar, to speak on their purpose to clear the land. Welcome, Mr. Gaafar.
Good morning, everyone. I am the representative from a land development company, Aramco Malaysia Serdian Berhad. As you have already known that our company has been planning to build a mega mall in this land, which happens to be your village. I am deeply sorry to express my sincere apology on this decision. First and foremost, our company believes that a good development requires sacrifices. As our country is strive to become a developed country by 2030, our company strongly agrees with the goal and we are dedicated to build a better economy for the country. And so a mega mall is vital in this regard. After taking all the pros and cons into consideration, we are convinced that the development of the mega mall could bring more benefits to the local people and raise their living standards significantly. So we would like to propose a few proposals to compensate the villagers for the cleaning of the land. So what do you think about this?
Good morning to all. First of all, we were all against this idea of building a mega mall in our residential area because it would affect our daily life drastically. However, Mr. Fateh and I heard you are offering some compensation which could cause benefits to us. May I know what is the compensation you offered, Mr. Gaafar?
After discussing with the company management thoroughly, we would like to offer a new relocation with better instruction to each household in the village and agreed to pay an one of 40,000 ringgits to each household. We are more than happy to further negotiate with you and would like to know more of your concerns regarding the compensation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gaafar. I believe everyone plays a role in the development of the country, and we have agreed to clear our land for the development of the land. However, our sides are not satisfied with the compensation proposed by your company. Firstly, we demand more money to be paid to the landowner with bigger land. So, it is not fair for the bigger landowner to get the same compensation amount as the other landowner with a smaller land size. Thus, instead of an on of 40,000 ringgit, we would like to ask for RM10 for every 1 meter square. We have landowners with land size as large as 10,000 meter square or as little as 1,000 meter square. As a rough estimation, my village is about 1 million meter square big in size, and our village has about 100 landowners with 1,000 occupants. The total compensation will increase roughly from 4 million ringgit to 10 million ringgit. So, what do you think, Mr. Gafar?
Thank you for telling me your concerns regarding this money compensation. However, I am afraid our side could not increase or allocate more money to compensate the villagers. However, would, we would agree to compensate the villagers at 5 ringgits per meter square. Thus, we can assure the villagers uh, that we will provide them jobs. We will provide the villagers jobs to. However, we would agree to compensate the villagers at 5 ringgits per meter square. Thus, we can assure the villagers that we will provide jobs to unemployed villagers to work at the mega mall when it is completed. It will bring more opportunities to the villagers. We are well aware that most breadwinners for the family in the village have to travel far to city to have a better salary and better job. So we are willing to provide job opportunities to the villagers.
I think that sounds good to us. So, what are your alternative that you have said before, Mr. Gaafar, that Aramco Malaysia Sendirian Berhad does propose a few compensation proposals.
Uh, okay, that's right. We are planning to new relocation of the villagers to our newly built flats near the mega mall. On top of that, we have allocated a budget of 2,000 ringgits per household as a moving expenses. We will also ensure job opportunities for every unemployed villager.
Thank you for your initiative, Mr. Gaafar. However, I think that does not solve the problem of fairness that have been brought up by Mr. Yevan earlier. How about this, Mr. Gaafar? I have a proposal that you and your company, Aramco Malaysia Sdn Berhad, to give the reimbursement of RM5 per meter square. But we also would like to request land and a share of revenue from the mega mall for the development of the village. On top of that, our village also is far from modern infrastructure like education infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, health infrastructure, and many more. Our children have to wake up early in the morning to walk a distance to reach the nearby bus station in order to reach the school. Not to mention that during the rainy season, they often get sick because they have to endure the coldness while waiting for the bus at the bus station. The same goes to some old citizens who have to walk to the bus station and travel some distance to reach the hospital. This is even worse for some of the senior citizens who can't even walk and must rely on the men who need to work during the daytime. I hope the problem that I have addressed could be solved after the development of this land.
Okay, just like the issue brought up by Fateh, financial, social, and psychological effects on relocating households are all possibilities. Increased living expenses, increased property taxes, moving expenses, and increased travel costs to and from work are all possible financial consequences for relocated households. However, not all potential financial consequences for relocated households are negative. The sale of property that would have been difficult to sell on the open market, lowering living and travel expenses, lowering property taxes, ownership of more valuable property, and relocation to decent, safe, and sanitary housing are all potential positive relocation impacts. Members of relocated households may experience social psychological effects because of changes in their living environment and emotional attachment to a particular home or neighborhood. Residential relocation, on the other hand, can have serious negative consequences, especially for certain group of people. Long-term residents, people with disabilities, and the elderly who have a hard time adjusting to the need to relocate due to the loss of facilities and services that Residents with mobility limitations, such as persons with disabilities and low income individuals, may find it difficult to meet daily needs. These people are more likely to rely on community based social networks. Elderly people have a hard time adjusting to new environments and forming new social bonds. So, what do you think about this, Mr. Kafar?
Certainly, Mr. Fateh and Mr. Yevan, I understand your concerns. In regards to this, we have a land nearby and available to trade with you. Also, we are planning to build a public transportation nearby which will have easy access to the hospitals and schools in the future when it is done. Do let me know if you have any other concerns about this.
Mr. Gava, our government certainly thinks that a mega mall could boost the economy and increase the living standards of the residents nearby. However, in line with the global visions to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions, we would like to request that the mega mall is built on the foundations of green buildings. And we would like to encourage more sustainable building like this happenings in our country. For that reasons, we would like to subsidize on the extra cost of the buildings. And we will also assign an environmental expert to be the consultants of these green buildings. And I hope that these green buildings can be imitated by more developers in the future. And also, speaking of the public transportations, what kind of transportations are you suggesting earlier? I need to take care of the welfare of the villagers and make sure that this transportations system is built nearby them so that they can have easy access to the places mentioned earlier. Mr. Gaafar?
Uh, yes, Mr. Kelvin, we are planning to build a light rail transit system (LRT) to connect more places like hospitals, universities, and schools nearby to make the mega mall become the main attraction to foreigners and investors. The LRT system will be powered by entirely hydrogen fuel system. So what do you think about this?
That is a great idea, Mr. Kafar. When the mega mall is built, a high traffic is inevitable. A LRT system can save time and can benefit the villagers more as it can minimize the traffic and ensure preventing air pollution at the same time. So as we all know, the importance of employment infrastructure among adults has grown in popularity, which can be interpreted in variety of ways. Residents prefer to live in a home that is close to or well connected to the city's industrial hubs and office sectors. A mixed use development, on the other hand, attracts people who prefer to have their office or workplace and their home in the same community. A housing development also provides direct and indirect employment to a variety of small and large scale businesses. Now, I think that building an LRT system nearby to the residents would pretty much solve this problem mentioned above. What do you think about this, Mr. Fateh?
I think what have you said is true, Mr. Evan. Mr. Gafar, let's discuss about the share of the revenue. As we, the villagers, move to the new land, we needed a lot of money for the development of the village. I would like to propose on behalf of the villagers that we are asking for 5% of the revenue for 10 years, starting from the commencement date of the mega mall. I believe that this would not be a problem on the developer side, as I believe once the construction starts, the appraisal value within the radius of the mall will increase. Hence, the economic sector will start to booming, as said before by Mr. Kelvin. We also have seen this before. When a new mall is constructed in Malaysia, the development will grow rapidly. And I believe the developer will be able to cash in more revenue, especially in the long term. I hope Mr. Gaffar and Aramco Malaysia can have a rating about our proposal for the 5% of the revenue.
Okay, Mr. Fateh. At the earliest At the early development stage of the mega mall, our revenue is mainly paid by the bank for loan. If you don't mind, we are willing to share 1% of revenue for 5 years for the development of the village. So what do you think about this, Mr. Fateh?
I think that will be very sufficient. So thank you very much for your consideration, Mr. Gaffar.
I think it's a overall very good proposal by Mr. Gaafar and both Mr. Evans and Mr. Fateh for the proposal on the developments of the mega mall. And I also agree with the compensations proposal to the villages, which they will be pay 5 ringgit per meter square and get a land of similar size, and also 1% of revenue for 5 years. And all, on the other hand, the land developer will need to build LRT stations system nearby the newly relocated land and a green mega mall. As a promise, on behalf of government, we will subsidize the extra cost of the building and LRT system, and we'll also assign an environmental expert to be the consultant for Aramco Malaysia Sdn Berhad. And is there anything to add on, Mr. Gaafar and Mr. Gaafar, Yevan, and Fateh?
I really appreciate the effort taken by Mr. Gaffar to negotiate with us, the village representatives, in order to know what's best for the village and its community. I'm totally satisfied with the compensation proposal proposed by Mr. Gaffar. How about you, Mr. Fateh?
I think Mr. Yvan have stated my point as I share the same view as him. I also think that this is the best solution to the country and also the community specifically in the long term perspective.
Okay, I think that's also very good for me. If that's all for the negotiation, we will end the negotiation for today.
All right, if there's nothing else, we will end the negotiation today. Thank you, everyone, for the participations for today's negotiation. Thank you very much.
A special thanks to the government official, Mr. Kelvin, for making this negotiation a success.